For the next part of section 8.3, we're going to answer the question, what is the inverse of the three trigonometric functions? So recall that inverse means opposite. Here's a couple examples that you're already used to seeing. Addition and subtraction, and multiplication and division. Those are both inverses. So if you take a look at the problems or the examples to your right of those two inverses, you can see that if you had an equation like y plus 3 equals 10, you would subtract. So you're doing the opposite thing. Same thing with 3x equals 9. Right now it's 3 times x, but if you were going to solve for x, you would want to divide by 3. So we're using inverses or opposites to solve. So back to trig functions. Sine and inverse sine are inverses. And you can see how those are written out here. You're used to seeing this already, sine. And then if we're going to say inverse sine, that would look like this. Sine with a little -1 in the exponent. So let's go over an example. The sine of angle A is 4/7. What is the measure of angle A? So if I were to write this out as an equation, I would have sine of A equals 4/7. So if we wanted to find the measure of angle A, we would want to do the opposite of the sine, or the inverse sine. So if we take the inverse sine of both sides, then we would be left with angle A equals, and then in your calculator to take the inverse sine, you're going to hit the second key and then your sine button. Then it should look like that sine with the -1 up in your calculator screen. Then you can just type in your fraction like normal. And let's just round to the nearest hundredth. So I get 34.85 degrees for angle A. Okay, so if you know sine, cosine, or tangent of an acute angle measure, you can use the inverse trigonometric function to find the measure of the angle. So we can do that same process with any of those three trig functions. So if sine of A equals x, then sine inverse of x equals A. If cosine of A equals x, then cosine inverse of x equals A. If tangent of A equals x, then tangent inverse of x equals